Hey everyone, a quick note before we get this show started. Our guest today wanted me to let you know she is speaking solely on her behalf and is not a representative of any of the companies that we discussed today. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Green Podcast. If you listen to the show, you know I like to bring on some of the most interesting people that I've come across in my life, and our guest today definitely fits into that category. Our guest today, Merrill Willis, and I met at a kickboxing gym in San Diego, kind of became friends there. And then one day she's just like, "Hey, I'm leaving. I'm going to the Bahamas. I'm doing some really cool stuff." And so she just disappeared, went off the grid, and I'm fortunate enough to catch her and get to learn a little bit more about her experiences. It sounds really cool. So, Meryl, thank you for being here today. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to catch up, I guess.
Yeah, Meryl's first podcast ever. So exciting.
So scary.
So, tell us a little bit about where you've been the past couple months. I know you're in the Bahamas, you're doing some really cool coral restoration. I saw you were scuba diving, but kind of share a little bit more about what you were doing down there.
Okay, so when I graduated in May for reference for everyone, from San Diego State in marine bio. And then after graduation, I got the opportunity to be an intern at a um institute in the Bahamas, Cape Eleuthero Institute. And there I focused on like coral restoration and like I guess research. It was mostly research, less restoration there specifically. But there was restoration involved. So we were looking at there were some different projects going on, including like heat stress on corals, as that's like a huge issue right now in the ocean, I guess in
Sure.
general. Um, yeah, while I was there, I got the ability, like I had the ability to um, learn more about like coral trees and like just in general like restoration work where you like frag corals, put them in the ocean. Once they're big enough to grow, you can go and now plant them in water, and as well as on land get to do some lab work, practicing with like heat stress experiments, seeing how different temperatures impact their growth and spawning in a way. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's pretty interesting. Well, congratulations on graduating.
Thanks.
So for the average person, I don't know that much about coral. I know I see it on
Yeah.
like pictures and it's beautiful and I like to scuba dive, but for the average person, can you kind of share like what's been happening to coral and maybe why we should care?
Yeah. Okay. So just so people know, I don't know like who your listeners are, so I don't know what they know, but coral is an animal. So just like different temperatures affect us, different temperatures affect them. So recently, and corals are typically found in warmer waters, but they're super sensitive. So as the climate has been increasing, ocean temperatures increase as well, and they have been spiking over the past couple of summers specifically, where to the point that it's like seriously damaging coral reefs worldwide. Um, and then in the Caribbean specifically, the Florida Keys as well. This has been causing mass bleaching events. So, coral bleaching is when a coral loses their zooxanthellae, which is a like algae that they have a mutualistic relationship with. So they like benefit, they get their photosynthetic abilities from it. So they're basically able to survive and eat, that sort of thing, because of them. And when these temperatures increase, it causes these zooxanthellae to like expel themselves from the coral, so they leave.
Wow.
And that causes that like white bleaching color that everyone sees. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're dead, but it means that they're really stressed out and that they're more likely to die. Um, it's kind of like if you have a fever, but it's for an expanded period of time. So They get super hot, they get super stressed out, and then that just doesn't end during these mass bleaching events, which can result in mass mortality in certain areas
Wow,
world.
that's crazy. Because you always see like mass bleaching is happening on the Great Barrier Reef and things, but you never
Mhm.
really think about like what does that actually mean, right? So it's
Yeah.
cool to thanks for explaining that.
Yeah.
What was kind of your day-to-day life like down? You're living in the Caribbean, you're on this island, like doing research and science. That must have been pretty awesome. Walk us through what that was like, on the job.
So it was kind of different because of where I was working. I was working out of like a research facility that was partnered with this like abroad school kind of. Um, so I kind of had like a normal like daily routine every single day, did the same thing, went to breakfast, then I went straight to work, got a lunch break, that sort of thing. But in the morning, I typically would have to, depending on the day, do like water changes for like the in lab, like corals and like polyps specifically. So we were like seeing how they would grow. So they would have to have clean water every day. And then depending on the day, sometimes we would be diving, snorkeling. There just really had to do with what we needed done in lab versus in the water. There's a lot of maintenance requirements that go along with coral work. Um, so we were trying to get out on the water as much as possible, but that's also really hard when it's all weather dependent
Mhm.
and there's storms all the time. So you never know. It was kind of different, but to some extent, it was like very routine. Check the lab or go immediately out on the boats and get some field work in.
Sounds awesome. So you get to eat breakfast and then do some research, or it's like, all right, let's go do some scuba
Diving.
diving,
Yeah.
jump in the water. Wow, that's cool.
Pretty ideal.
So, do you have any kind of like interesting or fun or cool stories or memories that you could share, whether that was a personal experience or like a learning experience through work, or what was just like a highlight or two that you can share from this past summer?
Okay, well, this really has very little to do with coral restoration, more diving. Um, but we were out doing just maintenance on the coral trees, which is just like basically my best friend calls it a Christmas tree with coral on it. They're underwater. It's just so the corals are able to get that proper flow while they're growing, the fragments. But so we were out there cleaning them. That way algae doesn't take over. And there was some like a bunch of really loud noises going on. And I was just like looking around trying to figure out where the boat was or what that was. And one of my guy friends who was out there with us at the time, he's super afraid of sharks. Super afraid of them. A marine biologist scared of sharks still blows my mind. Um, and so he's right next to me, and then I'm with two of my bosses are down there too, and we're all looking around for this boat, and we just see a hammerhead just swam straight through all of the trees right past us, like right in front of us. And meanwhile, like my friend's just cleaning the tree, has no idea this is happening, super afraid of sharks, and we're all just like, you see that, like, oh my god, we're freaking out, so excited. And none of us wanted, I'm like, should we tell him? And they're like, no, do not tell him, he will freak out. So it was so funny. And then after, when we got up, I was like, so there was a hammerhead, and he was like, why didn't you tell me? I was like, well, we didn't want you to freak out. And he was like, but it was a hammerhead. So that was super fun. You never know what you're gonna see, I guess, when you're diving, and especially when you're doing like cleaning underwater, you get kind of stuck in like a trance. Like it's just super like I don't know the word. Like it's like you're meditating. Like so you're down there and you're just cleaning, and you forget that there's things going on around you, and then all of a sudden there'll be a hammerhead in front of you.
Wow, that's sick. How big was the hammerhead?
It was decent size. I have no idea, 10 feet,
Damn, that's big.
7 feet,
Wow, that's crazy. Did you
bigger
see?
than me. That's all I
Wow,
know.
did you see there was just a great white shark off Catalina Island, like 15
Yeah,
feet?
that was like
Damn.
We recently apparently had a whale shark here. I'm in the Keys right now. And there was a whale shark sighting like a week ago. I was really upset I wasn't there personally, but
Man, I think that's like my number one thing I'd love to see diving is a hammerhead shark. That must have been
really,
so crazy.
there's a couple of specific. I did my first hammerhead dive in Hawaii a couple of years ago. To get there, it was kind of rough, but it was definitely super insane, like so cool. They're just so funny looking, so it's fun. It's fun seeing them underwater for
Wow, well
sure.
that is an awesome experience. So thanks for sharing. What like for the average person, I think everyone can agree that we all want like healthy coral, right?
Yeah.
But and we all kind of know like it's dying and you kind of explain that, but like what could the average person do to just make some sort of difference in their lives to at least mitigate a little bit of the impact? Like, is there anything we can do? And if there is, like, what would that look like?
Yeah, of course. There's definitely like so many small things that you can change in your daily life that I constantly try to convince my friends to do differently, just to like it doesn't seem like you're doing anything, but in the grand scheme of things, if every single person on this planet decided to change one small behavior, it adds up pretty quickly. Um, whether that's using reef safe sunscreen, which is just the ones that say like titanium or zinc, um, or if that's using reusable bags when you go grocery shopping. Like it's so simple, but people don't do it still. You know what I mean? I would say specifically like sunscreen's a big one when you're I know like Hawaii banned a lot of spray sunscreens and not reef safe ones, but you can still get them and that's just something that's like super easy but people don't do. Um I've also like worked on convincing all of my friends to work on making sure their food source like fish specifically is sourced ethically and is like wild caught rather than like farmed, just because those are things that like really impact the reef and just like the ocean in general. Um, and it's a super small change. It doesn't require that much extra work to just ask where it's coming from before you buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's great and that's good information and appreciate what you're doing too, like encouraging your friends to make, these little changes. It goes,
That's like an easy one. You can do that
yeah.
even if you don't do it yourself.
Yeah, it goes a long way. And like you said, like if we all make these little changes, which really doesn't impact our lives in the grand scheme of things at all, but it can have a huge impact on the world we live in. And what's interesting too is, we see on like the news, oh, climate change, like the world is ending, blah, blah, blah. But for most people, we don't ever actually see that impacting our lives very much. Maybe a little
Yeah.
bit more now, people in Florida are starting to see stronger hurricanes. But I'm
Yeah.
sure for you, going, down to these places where it's directly, impacting some of the most beautiful things on the planet, right? Like
Yeah.
emissions go up into the atmosphere, kind of blankets our planet, keeps the heat in, that heats up our oceans. That then, negatively affects the coral. And I think what was cool too, how you kind of put it like they're living animals. Like if we all of a sudden the temperature shot up 20 degrees everywhere we lived in, we'd all be struggling and stressing and dying
Everyone would be
too.
so angry all the time. Like you can't
Yeah.
blame them.
So that must be super impactful to kind of like witness this firsthand. So thank you for doing what you're doing. One being just like, you know, getting your career up and running, doing positive things for the planet, living an awesome life too while you're at it. What are you currently working on now? I see you're in the Florida Keys, you're outside, you got your sunglasses chilling. Looks like a nice little setup you've got going on.
Yeah, so I'm interning again, just at a different organization. Currently interning at the Coral Restoration Foundation in the Keys, doing specifically restoration work. So they focus on like large scale restoration, while I was doing more research based restoration over the summer. Um, so here, like our goal is to restore the reefs and educate people about the ocean. Um, so it's a lot of diving and making sure those corals are being growing and being outplanted back onto the reef, specifically in the Keys where they've been experiencing so much bleaching events and like destruction, I guess. It's really important that organizations like this one are doing what they're doing.
Yeah, well, thank you for what you're doing. And Merrill, thanks for coming on today. It's always cool to watch your adventures. I'm glad I got to lock you down for at least 15, 20 minutes while you're out doing cool stuff. So thank you for joining us today. How can our listeners support you or support the coral restoration? What's like a little call to action we could make them do?
Yeah, I mean, the best way if you're not able to like actively volunteer, because I know many people aren't, is for to like support these foundations. A lot of them are nonprofits, so they rely on donations. So you can always just look up Coral Restoration Foundation or other organizations like them. There are so many worldwide, and feel free to donate. That would be great. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, I
Follow me
think
on
we should have a plan. So we're slowly coming to the end of 2024. I think 2025, the green.org community, working with Merrill, we should try to raise $1 million for the Coral
million.
Restoration Institution. So I'm going to drop the link in the podcast description when it goes live. And let's start supporting these things. It's really cool. Like, your money can directly go to supporting people like Merrill and other researchers who are literally hands-on, like trying to help these. So if you're interested in just making a little bit of an impact, that's one way. $5, $10, $100, I'm sure it goes a long way to supporting these nonprofits. So let's support those guys. Let's keep trying to do positive things for the planet. Also, get out there and go scuba diving and explore the world. And then you can come on and share your stories like Merrill did. So Merrill, again, appreciate what you're doing, from yelling at you to do burpees and kickboxing class to scuba diving to saving the coral. Appreciate what you're doing. Hopefully our paths will cross again in person soon.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. Less scary than I thought it would be.
All right. Well, thank you, Merrill. And thank you to everyone who tunes in, who listens, who supports the show. As always, my goal is to bring just the most interesting people that I can find, that I can come across, who are doing positive things for the planet. So let's work together. Let's team up. Let's join forces. I think that's a solid goal. $1 million coral restoration. I think we can make it happen. 2025. There we go. Nice little call to action. So we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Green Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into the episode. My name is Dylan Welch. Appreciate it. As always, stay up to date with the latest information on green.org and dylanwelch.com. Dylan Welch Media is a full-service media and communications agency dedicated to promoting, marketing, and helping businesses in clean tech, renewable energy, and sustainability grow, get more clients, get more customers, get in front of their ideal clientele. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. If you're interested in joining the Green Summit, go to www.green-summit.org. Reserve your ticket today. There's very few spots left, so make sure you get on that ASAP. Thank you and have a great rest of your day. Before we get the show started, big announcement. EarthX 2025 tickets are now live. Join 4,000 other attendees, including prime ministers, ambassadors, UN associates, Fortune 500 CEOs, media personalities, all for 4 days of an amazing conference with panels, speakers, presentations, breakout rooms, calls to action, networking. Basically, I went there this past year and it was one of the best events I've ever been to. We will be hosting 1 full day of the event with a focus on the future of sustainability in business. If you're interested in speaking or sponsoring, contact me, Dylan Welch here. Still have a few speaking spots available. If you're not and you just want to attend and meet amazing people, get inspired, be sure to register today. Anyway, let's get this show started.